Washington police.
Welcome to Kelvin's commentary.
After
We're going to take a look at President Donald J. Trump simultaneously signing
They got 5
executive
jail
orders
sentences on the
and
case.
doing a press conference
And we're
on the fly,
looking
no
at that
notes,
in
just
order to
talking
give
directly
them
to the
a,
people through the press.
We got to give them a break.
But is there clemency in your actions today for anybody?
Well, it would be a
who
pardon.
assaulted
That would be a
police
pardon.
officers?
The one I'm talking about would be a pardon.
Here you go, sir. This is
Should there
an,
be punishment for the people who assaulted law enforcement officers that day?
Well, I will say this, they've been in jail for a long time already. I see murderers in this country get 2 years, 1 year, and maybe no time. So they've already been in jail for a long time. These people have been destroyed. What they've done to these people is outrageous. There's rarely been anything like it in history, in the history of our country. And even people that were aggressive, and in many cases, I believe they happen to be outside agitators, but, you know, what do I know, right? But I think they were outside agitators. There were outside agitators involved. And obviously the FBI was involved because Ray admitted the FBI was involved. Didn't he say 23 people indirectly or directly were involved? And it was then 26? That's a lot of people.
I'm sure there's people on both sides.
we have,
Some agree they should be in jail the rest of their
we gotta take care
lives.
of these
Other
people
people
have been
understand
treated
that
so badly.
that's not
So what
a
happened?
crime that you should spend the
What
rest of your
happened in
life in.
Seattle where they took
And
over
so
a big
Donald
portion
Trump
of the
is
city? What
making the
happened
decision
in
that's best for the country. And I think it's
Portland?
probably a good idea
They burn
that we
down the
move
city
forward.
every day, and people die. Nothing happened to anybody. But they go after these people violently. I mean, they're still going after brand new people. They found somebody else with a picture. There's never been anything like this. And you know, it's almost 100%. Think of this, almost 100% of the people are convicted. 100%. It's Washington, D.C. People go into a trial and they say, oh, I have a wonderful lawyer and I didn't do anything wrong. And they end up in shackles almost immediately and jail.
One of,
No,
if not the
let it
most
happen.
controversial pardon is for the January 6th members. Even if you're trying to be fair, let's look at it from both perspectives. These are all people who are in the criminal justice system. Many of them have been tried and convicted and have been in
And
jail a
I'm sure
long
that
time.
Denmark will
I think if we're being fair,
come
you
along.
can't say
You
they
know, it's
did
costing them a
any
lot of money to
time
maintain it.
that they weren't punished in any way.
The people of
And it's a
Greenland are
judgment
not
call
happy with
whether or not you
Denmark,
feel
you know.
that the punishment has
I
been
think they're
enough.
happy with us. We had representatives, my son and representatives went up there 2 weeks ago, and they like us. So we'll see what happens. But Greenland is necessary, not for us, it's necessary for international security. You have Russian boats all over the place, you have China boats all over the place, warships, and they can't maintain it.
When are you going to be talking to Vladimir Putin?
Who?
Do you plan to meet President Putin, sir?
I'll be meeting with President Putin.
When do you plan?
I don't know, I can't, it's being set up.
Your first trip foreign that might be, sir?
So the first foreign trip typically has been with UK, but I did it with Saudi Arabia last time because they agreed to buy $450 billion worth of our product. I said, I'll do it, but you have to buy American product, and they agreed to do that. They bought $450 billion. It was the least reported story I've ever been involved
And
in.
now, where are you planning to go now?
Well, I don't know. If Saudi Arabia wanted to buy another 450 or 500, we'll up it for all the inflation.
Mr. President, you say you were going
think
to
I'd
end the
probably go
war's
there.
first day. How do you plan to end the Ukraine war?
Well, we're going to try and get it done as quickly as possible.
Do you want to push Israel and Saudi
It should have
Arabia?
never started. You know, the war with Ukraine and Russia should have never started. It would have never started if I were president.
Will you push Israel and Saudi Arabia to normalize relations?
I don't think I have to push them. I think it's going to happen, but maybe not quite yet. But they'll end up being in the Accords, the Abraham Accords.
President Trump,
I think Saudi Arabia will end up being in the Abraham Accords.
This year?
Could be, but soon. Not in a very long way. Ooh, look at that! It says TikTok. My.
This next executive order is opening up Anwar, the Alaska area, for energy exploration. I'm sure the environmentalists aren't happy about this, but at the same time, we have to balance the needs of the country, our own independence, our dependence on foreign oil and all the entanglements that come with that. This is a huge departure from the last administration's feelings about that issue, and so we'll see how that works out.
Deal. I mean, I may not do the deal, or I may do the deal. TikTok is worthless if I don't approve it. It has to close. I learned that from the people that own it. If I don't do the deal, it's worthless, worth nothing. If I do the deal, it's worth maybe $1 trillion, $1 trillion. So if I do the deal I'm talking about doing it for the United States. If I do the deal for the United States, then I think we should get half.
The TikTok
In other words, I think the U.S. should be entitled to get half of TikTok. And congratulations, TikTok has a good partner. And that would be worth, could be $500 billion or something. It's crazy. The numbers are crazy. But it's worth.
The short answer is TikTok is not going anywhere. It looks like there's a deal to be made. It looks like it's a deal that would benefit the United States for a change, and I'm all for it. I think that the people who love TikTok have very little to worry about. I think TikTok provides income to a number of Americans across this country, and that we need to do everything we can to figure out a way to make TikTok viable and keep it safe and the data that everybody's so concerned about.
They really have nothing. It's passed in Congress. It gives the president a right to make a deal or to close it. And we have 90 days to make that decision. But I could see making a deal where the U.S. gets 50% of TikTok, polices it a little bit or a lot, depends on them. But remember, they make telephones in China. They make all sorts of things in China. Nobody ever complains about that. Here they're complaining about this. There's so many different products made in China, and nobody ever complained about it. The only one they complain about is TikTok. And TikTok is largely young people. I guess I have a warm spot for TikTok that I didn't have originally. But, I went on TikTok, and I won young people up by 36%, Peter. And Republicans typically don't do too well with young people. But it's a different Republican Party.
Would the U.S. government buy a portion of TikTok then, or how would it get that 50%?
No, you'd take 50% of TikTok for the approval that TikTok could continue in business. And they'd have a great partner. The U.S. would be their partner. But the U.S. essentially would be paid for doing that half of the value of TikTok.
Would there be a private sector owner as
Could
well in
be,
the
yeah,
U.S.?
could be a lot. Tell you what, every rich person has called me about TikTok
You wanted to block TikTok. Why did you change your mind?
because I got to use it. And remember, TikTok is largely about kids, young kids. If China's going to get information about young kids, I don't know. I think, to be honest with you, I think we have bigger problems than that. But when you take a look at telephones that are made in China and all the other things that are made in China, military equipment made in China, TikTok, I think TikTok is not their biggest problem. But there's big value in TikTok if it gets approved. If it doesn't get approved, there's no value. So if we create that value, why aren't we entitled to like half?
Sir, if they don't continue till 90 days, will you shut them down?
Does Biden ever do news conferences like this? How many news conferences, Peter, has he done like this?
Like this?
None.
0.
And it would be zero for the next infinity. For infinity, it would be zero.
Mr. President,
Now, this is how you show leadership. President Donald J. Trump signing a series of executive orders while answering not just softball questions, but challenging questions from the press with no notes. Not running and just drawing on his extensive understanding of the issues. It's certainly a moment that showcases his confidence and in-depth knowledge of the issues facing the country. Whether you agree with his policies or not, it is undeniable that his approach has sparked conversation across the country and is vastly different from what you saw from former President Biden and what you would have seen from former Vice President Harris if she had become president. It's also clear that his supporters see this as a bold demonstration of leadership, while his critics see it as reckless and proof that he's not fit for the office. But more importantly, what do you think? Was this just a masterclass in leadership, something the country has been lacking for years? Or do you think there should be a more traditional approach? I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below. Let's get the conversation started. And hey, if you enjoyed today's commentary, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss out. This is Kelvin's Commentary, where we break down politics and current events, one issue at a time, from a grown man's point of view. Until next time.